Oh, all right. It's been a while. I had the urge to say, "Here we are at Peter's Donuts." I haven't done that in a while because I didn't come up with a cold open this time. So I got nothing. How you doing?
I remembered.
Good job, baby. She's such a sweetheart. For those of you just joining us, my wife remembered to leave the kitchen light on because I decided that it would potentially be better lighting for this.
I wanted to ask you about is so I hear there's some fires burning in Oregon. Is that a
Oh,
problem?
there's fires burning freaking everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
It's insane. A lot of small towns in Oregon that I visited once or twice in my life or whatever just don't exist now.
Really?
Yeah, it's really
Wow.
bad. Um, my sister's okay where she is. Uh, she's in the valley. The whole everything is scary looking. The sky is yellow. It doesn't really get light out. There's actual ash in the air. Like it's bad. But my sister's fine. My mom is simultaneously fine and very close to bad things. My mother is in a very small town called Depot Bay, Oregon, right on the coast. And 20 minutes north of her, on the north end of the city called Lincoln City, they've evacuated because it's really close to some fires.
Wow.
But the way things are positioned, it is extremely unlikely they will get to her.
Hmm.
If for some reason they do, uh, she can go south, and she can go south to Newport and through to Corvallis and then up to where my sister is. So she's got a way out to my sister's home if needed. The normal way everybody goes between my sister's home and my mom's home, they can't right now, but the long way around still works. She did have, when just around the time all this started, they had a pretty bad thunderstorm that caused her to lose power for about 28 hours, and so that was freaky for her.
Wow.
But I mean, it all just goes to the fact that she probably shouldn't so much be there by herself now. But yeah, she should be. She should. It's scary all around. But she's got, as long as she's got Newport there. I mean, that's where the hospital is. That's where the police and everybody. Any stuff she would need would come from that route.
Oh.
And so she has access to that, and she has access to go out and get to my sister. So she should, and she's got plenty of food and all that. So should
Does
be okay.
does she have any plans to leave there and
Oh
live
yeah, no,
somewhere
no, no.
else?
That's what's happening right now. Is she's slowly going through everything,
Oh,
and
yeah,
the plan
right.
is to move into the valley closer to Sarah in a smaller, like an apartment or a retirement home kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you did tell me that.
Yeah, it's a slow process. I believe currently the hope is put the house up next spring,
Oh, okay.
but we'll see. We there are options if she wants to change that between my sister and I. We can, I mean, she doesn't have to stay in the house till it sells. She doesn't have to stay in the house till everything's packed. Like there's ways around this stuff if she wants to. But she's doing her thing. She's very much owning her experience with my dad going and everything, and we're trying to be respectful of that. And I think she's doing well under the circumstances.
Sure.
I, on the other hand, the
Why are
so
you wait, wait, why are you speaking Welsh? I can't understand Welsh.
yeah. No, I'm feeling very ill.
You
Uh,
are?
yes.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
The allergies this time of year are insane around here,
Oh,
but shouldn't be an issue because it's raining nonstop all week.
yeah.
Except, meanwhile, I'm cleaning the house and I'm cleaning the room that I'm in right now, and I'm doing some major work, and it's wonderful. It also throws up decades of cat dander and other allergens. I mean, cats that have been dead for years are bugging my sinuses now. Like, it's insane. So yesterday was pretty bad, and then today I couldn't hardly sleep. I was stuffed up enough that like my CPAP wouldn't work and all that. So I've spent a lot of today in bed. I think I'm doing better, but during this podcast, the 12-hour Sudafed I took will end. So
Okay.
it may get worse as this progresses.
All right.
Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to Magic the Talking Hat podcast. Only podcast that, is this one. I mean, there's a lot of specific things to us. Okay, put it together. Like, the only podcast that has all these details, like us. There are no people out there copying our style.
Nope.
Because why would they?
Yeah, exactly. It's pointless, really. We cannot be duplicated.
We should not be duplicated.
Well, that's beside the point. We cannot. You try to say it in a way that sounds more, positive.
I mean, I believe we cannot be duplicated in the way that people say that when they mean must not be duplicated. Like, I think if somebody wanted to. Now I'm just imagining other people doing impressions of us on a podcast, and I kind of want to see it.
I'm not sure what that would look like.
I mean, like us, but bad.
No, I mean, usually people pick out a thing and they exaggerate it, or they do something that, like when Dana Carvey impersonated George Bush, it wasn't really that much like George Bush, and yet it was somehow.
I mean,
and it's hard for me to think, for you even, not just for me, what aspects someone's going to pick out to exaggerate.
I mean, I assume I'd just be a mean fat guy, and you'd just be a giant man-sized Batman cap.
Maybe, I don't know.
And I don't know. We're so unique and special. Anyway, I'm Tony.
And I'm William, and this is episode 495.
Oh, we're getting close.
Counting down, brother.
And more people are saying they want to be in it. I really, at some point, should make a list.
Probably, yeah.
Put some shit together for it,
Yeah, send the invites out.
I'd say we could just use this Zoom link, but then after the 500 people would be Zoom bombing us all the time.
Pick a date. That's probably the most important bit.
Well, yeah. So we're going to be solidly in October by then, right?
I don't know. Let's see. So the 96 is on the 17th, and 97 is on the 24th. So yeah, sort of the third Thursday of October or something. I'm gonna say.
Okay, so my Veil campaign will be done then. I will probably try something on a Saturday afternoon so that Craig can join us also. And I'm a little worried about Mark, because I suspect Mark would want to be involved, but based on the comments he's making, he's way too far behind in podcasts to actually get to the part where he's supposed to tell us he wants to be involved.
Oh.
So I might just have to reach out to him. We'll see. And Trish doesn't know she wants to be involved. I need to tell her that.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll happen. All right. Anyway, for those of you who've never listened before, wow. That's all I have to say about that. Here's how the show goes. We have a hat. It's magical. in that it has its own email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com. And people like yourselves, good people, cool people, still need more people, always need more people. Write in to that email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com, with little notes, comments, topics, questions, that kind of thing. We don't have a lot of people. We need more. The hat magically transmogrifies those emails into little note cards with the information written on them that manifests physically in the hat itself. It's people draw those note cards out of the hat at random, read them on the air, talk about them till we're bored, do that for about an hour. That's the show, except the parts that aren't, which is most of it. I felt like there was another beat to that, but no. Here we are.
Here we are.
Donuts. How's your week been? Who's your week been?
What?
Oh.
It's been fine. Usual stuff, work, media. Not much to say about it. Although I want to ask you a question. I want your opinion on something.
I'm not good at giving opinions, but I'll try.
Okay. So this has to do with DC films. Is it still okay for me to ask you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So back in the day, when DC was deciding they were going to have their own cinematic universe similar to what Marvel was doing,
Yes.
they tapped Zack Snyder, as everybody knows, and he had a plan for what he was going to do. It was probably going to be
several terrible movies.
It was probably going to be like 21 movies. It was going to include a Justice League trilogy, and basically every character in the Justice League was going to get their own trilogy. And maybe not Batman, but I don't know for sure. And what we got out of that was we got the first of the Superman trilogy, which we never got the other two movies and probably won't. We got the first. I guess we got the first of the Justice League trilogy.
Oh, is that what we're calling Batman v Superman?
That's the first of the Justice League trilogy.
Okay.
Batman v Superman. And then we got something that really wasn't Zack Snyder's vision for the next Justice League, and the third Justice League was right out. So that's all we really got of the DCEU. We did get the woman that he cast as Wonder Woman, her standalone movie, but I'm not sure how much of that was really his vision in the end. And we got the person he cast as Aquaman, his standalone movie. Not sure how much of that was his vision in the end. So those movies, even as early as Wonder Woman, there was talk like this isn't really part of a unified universe anymore. Even with Wonder Woman, that was being said. It was definitely being said about Aquaman, and also Shazam. So basically, after Batman v Superman, there was that early on. There was talk like, you know what, we're just not going to do this shared universe thing. We're just not even going to do it. We'll go ahead and make some of the movies that we already are in pre-production because we like those directors, we like their vision, we think those movies will be successful, but we're no longer going to talk about there being a shared universe. In fact, we're going to start talking about there not being one, because that's when people started talking about it.
For those of you following at home, yes, he's still about 20 minutes out from asking me my opinion on the thing.
Well, because there's context. Now, HBO Max next year is going to have a limited series called, the Snyder Cut, where
a series. I thought they were just showing that movie.
It's going to be 4 1-hour bits. Like,
why?
There's going to be because he's got 4 hours worth of stuff, I guess, and they're going to show it 1 hour at a time.
And that all makes sense until you say they're going to show it 1 hour at a time. Why are they going to show it 1 hour at a time?
Well, then
It's a
after
movie. Just show the movie.
but then after they show it 1 hour at a time, it'll be available for you to watch the whole thing in one go.
Well, yes, as with any series.
I
But
don't know.
again, all right.
No, I mean all in one go as one thing. You don't have to like press next to watch the next one. It's all going to be in
Dear,
one.
thank you for the convenience. That makes so much more to it.
Okay,
Your
Ray.
explanation is making it stupider by the moment.
Well, this is part of the question I'm asking, though. See, because what we're eventually going to get is we will get Zack Snyder's
The Snyder Cut.
full Justice League trilogy, whatever that was going to be. We
Yes.
might get some indications what his other 2 Superman movies were going to be, but we won't get those.
Okay.
Have an idea of what the shared universe was supposed to look like. Now, a couple weeks ago, DC had this thing called DC Fandom. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, everybody's doing an online version of E3 or whatever this year. Yeah.
All right. Well, it was 8 hours of various things, but just about everything they talked about or offered had a little bit of propaganda in it promoting the DC multiverse.
Yeah.
Because when they decided not to do the whole shared universe thing, which I'm saying was some time ago, they also decided their marketing plan was going to promote what's called the DC multiverse. And this is an idea that goes back to the 60s. The first time they ever did it was in a Flash comic or whatever. And they really want audiences to understand that as far as the comics are concerned, and this is true about the comics as far as I know, there's never really been a continuity. There's been like an Earth Prime or whatever, but pretty much because of the multiverse, pretty much all the read are canon. They're just canon in some universe or whatever.
Yeah, Marvel has a similar deal, and yeah.
Yeah, so they want audiences to think about DC movie offerings this way, so that they won't expect to see the same Batman in every movie, and that maybe they'll even be excited to see, oh, this is a different Batman than the one I saw before. Now, this has worked in the comics since the 60s. They never really tried it in TV until, I would say, Smallville, but definitely in the Arrowverse, and it's worked there. So my question to you is, do you think this idea is going to work for casual film audiences, or do you think they're not going to like having 3 Batmans going on? Or perhaps they'll be okay with it, but it'll split the Batman audience, so there won't be any billion-dollar Batman pictures. I mean, what do you think the effect of this is going to be, if any?
Mostly, I'm just shocked. 80% of your backstory was completely unnecessary for this question.
What? It's got to be.
You absolutely no. Here's how you do it. So DC was gonna have a cinematic universe, and then they decided not to. But then later they decided they're having a multiverse, and then you give your little blurb about what that means in the comics, and that's it. That's all you need.
But the context, why I think that context is important. Well, first of all, I don't know what listeners know or don't know, so I want them up to date on it. But also,
no, I'm assuming. I mean, if it wasn't for the listeners, you didn't have to tell any of this because I knew all this. I assumed it was.
Well,
for
that's
the
probably true.
But I'm still saying
that's probably,
you can just be like, they had a cinematic universe, now they're doing a multiverse.
No.
What do you think?
That's probably true. That's probably true. But the context I thought was important, even for this conversation, was that this isn't like a brand new idea. This is something that they've been thinking about pretty much since Batman v Superman didn't work out. And they've been working on it for a long time. So to me, that has some bearing on how successful it'll, like, for example, maybe your answer would be, well, if this is a new strategy, I don't think it's going to resonate with people before the next movie or whatever. But this is something that's been going on for a while. I didn't know if you knew that. I don't know if you knew that messaging has been going out for actually quite some time.
It doesn't impact my opinion at all.
Okay, well, I didn't know if it would or not. So
I can't imagine how it would. I mean, I hope people have cool answers for you in the blog, themagicaltalkinghat.com, because mine are very simple. Highlighted by the fact that I could not give less of a shit. But
yes, I suspected that, but
I suspect the breadth of the population will be the same. Um, it just means you're going to have a bunch of movies, and people who care enough about that continuity will buy into the multiverse thing just fine. People who don't care don't care. In the same way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe, people who cared enough had to watch them all. People who didn't, plenty of people went and saw random Marvel movies without having it tie into the rest of it. And I think that will still continue. If anything, you lose some of the impetus, because if it's a multiverse and they're all in their own dimensions, there's virtually no continuity. So that thing that some of us felt where we had to see all the Marvel movies so it would all be one big story kind of gets diluted in this version. I also don't, to me, it is absolutely a convenient excuse to say we want to make a lot of DC movies, but we don't want to bother with continuity or paying the same actors more each time. That's it. Like, to me, there's no narrative vision in this idea. This is their way to explain, we're just going to make a bunch and we're not going to worry about connecting them via cast or necessarily plot, which is fine.
But
I
you
don't know
don't.
that you got to have a brand on that.
Well, okay, so what you're saying sounds to me like, though, because um, the thing is, the interconnectedness of the Marvel universe did drive a lot of business. I mean, a lot of people, like you were saying, a lot of
Yeah.
people felt like they had to see them all. I don't think, I don't, you wouldn't have had the phenomenon of the second or the end game or whatever it was being a $2 billion movie or whatever without the 10 years ahead of that and turning it into a big event. I
Definitely.
mean,
Definitely.
so DC can't count on anything like
No,
that.
I don't think DC gets the benefit of a shared universe in this model unless they work really hard. Either they don't get the benefit, or it's a shared universe model. They're just calling it a multiverse model. Because the only way they get the benefit is if they bother to tie them all together.
Sure,
And I don't think they want to do that. And if they're doing that, then it's just a cinematic universe by a different name.
So after 20 films or so, even presuming all of those films do reasonably well, they're going to end up making less probably than Marvel made in the same period, because Marvel could capitalize, make a little extra, maybe even twice as much on a film because of the shared universe aspect.
Based on the factors we're talking about. Shared universe fatigue, superhero fatigue, whatever other shit they may do. If they make a couple of different characters that are really, really popular, they'll probably make a movie that puts them together, and it'll probably make $1 bajillion. It's all
Right.
market driven. None of it is narrative driven in the long term, ever.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
all
you got a
market
point.
driven. So this multiverse may last for like 3 films if it's not a thing. But the truth is, you can have it be a multiverse and it just doesn't fucking matter. You're just making a bunch of movies. And on some levels, I like that better, because I'm like, oh, this fucking Batman was actually kind of cool, and it was a very different take on how they usually do Batman, but it was really good. I can go watch that one and not have to worry about the ones before.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm actually all for this.
I'm totally
I
for, like,
just
coming this summer, Batman, this time he's a moose. Like, I'm down for that.
Sure, but what my question was, just because it works for me doesn't mean it works. I mean, I don't know. And another part of it is they're clearly trying to push a certain message to encourage people to kind of get behind this idea, when my opinion is just do it. I mean, just, you guys don't want to do the shared universe, don't do it. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to create a marketing strategy around it. But
No,
that
I
is what they're
agree.
doing. That is what they're doing. And it makes me wonder, what is it they think casual viewers are going to think? Because I'm kind of with you. I don't think they're going to think anything. But I'm with you in thinking that the long term of this is, it's, you're not going to be able to have a big $2 billion film. That just won't happen. I mean,
I
you
mean, it's
might get a
on it's on
billion-dollar movie
brand.
like Joker was.
It's on brand for a comic company.
Sure,
Same
exactly.
reason
That's
comics
exactly
do.
right.
And there is a contingent of people that will get into this, like, oh, what if, Batman from the Mooseverse met up with Batfleck and like that kind of shit. Like, and then if enough people are into that, DC will be like, fuck, we'll make that. Batman Fleck versus Moose.
You were made for this, man. You should be working in Hollywood. You could
Oh,
just be
without a
rattling
doubt.
this stuff
Without a
off.
doubt. Yeah, no, I would be raking it in, but I can't stand the phonies, All the phonies.
Well, I just think it's weird that they're hitting this so hard. Like the only, and besides that, the people who are going to hear this and it makes sense to them or care about it are people like me, who's not really a casual viewer, probably. So, and I'm already going to go see these movies. So it's like,
Mm.
it seems like they're doing this messaging for nobody.
I mean, it's the same people that got you, I'm gonna murder you for a lot of very specific reasons until I find out your mom has the same name as my mom. And now we're buddies. Like, this makes as much sense as that. I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
I'm just glad. I thought you were going to ask me something about my opinion of anything Snyder ever did or will do. And I was like, you know the answer to that.
No.
I am super excited for the Snyder cut to come out because I want to read about the terrible plot. Same way I read about the terrible plot in the first Justice League movie. So I'm excited for that. But I do not believe Zack Snyder is capable of making something that doesn't suck. Moose
Well,
balls
but
specifically.
people are going to, hail it as the best thing ever, and that it was totally worth
People
all of their
people have
work to
already
get it.
hailed it as the best thing ever.
I know it's ridiculous. I mean, I'll watch it. In
it.
fact, I
Yeah,
won't
you
just
will.
watch it. I'm going to watch. Before it comes out, I'm going to, like the day before or whatever, I'll watch Man of Steel and Batman v Superman at the extended version, just to get some context, so I can really get a sense of what this guy was trying to do. So that when it's over, if I hate it, which I probably will, I'll be able to talk about why it's worthy of my disdain. But
Oh,
I just
you
don't
got
think
to
it's going to
work
be
on
very good.
hating, man. Hating needs way less backup.
Well, I mean, if you say so. But
I
yeah,
hate shit
but
I've barely thought about.
it's not going to be out until next year, and on top, so that creates issues for HBO Max, which is struggling with getting subscribers for a lot of reasons that we don't have to get into. But it's
I didn't
like,
know
I
that.
don't even know. Oh, you didn't know that?
No,
Yeah,
because
HBO
if you
Max.
have HBO, you get HBO Max automatically. So I just assumed it had as many subscribers as it had HBO subscribers. And that's a lot.
Well, no, it probably does. But I mean, the whole part of the reason it became HBO Max and had a plan to add certain content and market itself a certain way was to get more.
Yeah.
And they haven't gotten very many more. And it doesn't
Well,
look
their
like they've
original
got a very good
content is
strategy for getting.
virtually nothing so far.
Well, but another
We
thing
have
is,
watched a total of 2 shows on it.
another problem is that, one of the things they promised to people to get them to sign up early even, was that, oh, we've got a lot of the Warner Brothers catalog, which they did at first. It was great. But one of the big things they promised from the Warner Brothers catalog was Harry Potter, right? And, all the Harry Potter movies were on there. And I think now they're not.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Bummer.
Because here's the thing. There's a lot of Warner Brothers properties, kind of like Marvel properties, that have been licensed to other people in some ways. Like Harry Potter's been licensed to Universal, right? So they could build that Harry Potter world at Universal Studios theme park or whatever. And so Warner Brothers can't just put Harry Potter out there they want for as long as they want. They've got licensing agreements they've got to settle with Universal, so Universal can do their thing and make it difficult for Warner Brothers to actually just put Harry Potter out there and leave it out there. Similar case for some other properties that have been on HBO Max but are now off. And so, yeah, which is very frustrating because one of the reasons we signed up was because I happen to really like the Warner Brothers catalog in all kinds of ways, not just DC stuff and not just the Warner Brothers cartoon stuff, which I like a lot, but there's a lot of Warner Brothers Pictures classic that I really like that it would be cool if they were just there for me to watch whenever I felt like it. And some of them are still there, but some of them could only be on there for a little while and now they're off, which some of that might be like they don't have to take them off. They're just trying to create some urgency to watch or something, or urgency to stay. Because once something gets taken off, it might come back. I don't know. There might be some of that going on too. I have no idea. But the Snyder Cut was supposed to be a big draw. I would
probably watch a lot of it if I could watch it through my Roku.
Well, when you look at places where people are commenting about their dissatisfaction with HBO Max, the Roku issue comes up over and over and over. Roku
Amazon,
has said, Roku has said that, look, we're, the terms that we're offering HBO or HBO Max is the same as they've ever been. So, and I think HBO was on Roku, wasn't it?
HBO is still on Roku.
It's just HBO Max isn't. Okay,
yeah,
so
HBO Max is not there.
So
we watch.
I think HBO Max.
Stuff, we watch Lovecraft Country just on our TV. If we're gonna watch Raised by Wolves, we have to power on the PlayStation and then go into the PlayStation's HBO Max and watch it there. And I'm not inclined to do that unless I'm going for something specific. If it was just on my Roku, I would probably browse it occasionally and be like, "Hey, let's watch that."
Well, and again, HBO Max probably wants Roku because so many people are talking. Yeah, so many people are talking about that. But as I understand
Amazon, which is another huge platform.
Roku is saying, HBO Max wants different terms than we offer everybody else than we've ever offered anybody else, and so that's what's holding it up. So I don't know, but. The Snyder Cut was supposed to be a big draw to HBO Max, and then you find out, oh yeah, we're going to get it all right, but it's not until next year. So why should anybody subscribe now? And
also, it's the fucking Snyder Cut, and it sucks. So
they can subscribe a year from now for the week or so it takes for the whole thing to release, and then drop their subscription, which is probably what they're going to do. So I don't know what's going to happen to HBO Max. Plus, I understand they fired from the DC Universe streaming thing, like they were going to get rid of that and move everything maybe over to HBO Max, but they haven't done that yet. So you can watch the Harley Quinn animated show on HBO Max, which I watched and it was pretty good. You can watch Doom Patrol, which we've watched and I liked it all right, but you can't watch Titans, for example, or Swamp Thing. So, what? And a lot of people do want to watch those shows. So I don't know what's going on there. So I don't know what's going to happen to HBO Max if they don't get their act together.
I'm just warning you now. At this point, the episode's title is William's Mad at HBO Max. Like that's the vibe from this episode overall.
I'm sorry. Why don't you tell me?
And if you're fine with that title, then that's the title. But like, I'm just warning you. You are really angry at HBO Max.
Well, I'm not angry. I would like to not see it go away because there's a lot of things I like about it, and there are a lot of things I could like about it more.
He's just so impatient for the Snyder Cut, is he?
Oh no, that's not true.
He needs more Ayn Randian superhero stuff.
Don't even say that.
He wants a Superman who snaps necks, because only pussies from the 20th century have a Superman that's incorruptibly good. That
sounds like he would actually say.
That's me partially paraphrasing things he's actually said. I beefed it up a little bit, but he has exactly talked basically that it's he had this whole spiel one time about how everybody wants their Superman to still be this good guy and this Boy Scout and all this, but the world has changed and the government's, and I'm just like, yeah, that's why we want our Superman to be the same. It's escapist.
Well,
I don't want
he's talking
Superman
about
through the
Batman
lens of Trump. I mean, Jesus Christ. No, I want Superman to help me not think about how the world has gone to shit. Superman could be a nice thing that's still there in this fantasy world. It does not need to reflect
and
what already sucks about the world.
He's talked about Batman the same way, like, oh, you want a Batman that doesn't kill people. That's, you just grow up. You need to stop being a child about these things. It's like, but it's a superhero story.
Yeah.
And comic books largely read by children. I mean,
we need to stop being a child and assume our government's not doing that, but that makes it even better if Batman doesn't.
Right.
Because otherwise, he's just a government agent with a dumb outfit. Like, why do we want him to match the vigilantes of the real world, let alone the state of killers?
So it's
I mean,
but
Jesus. A little Frank Miller
anyway
there.
How was your week? Let's talk about that.
The subtitle for this can always be Tony hates Zack Snyder, because that's the thing. But my week was okay. Had a nice socially distanced picnic with the extended family at a park midway between us in Illinois.
That's nice.
Was nice. We might have undercut our social distancing because a stray cat showed up and really liked us all, and we all pet it. And at some point, somebody's like, "We're keeping distance from each other, but we're all petting this cat who's going around, so it's giving us all each other's germs." So, but
cats.
It was nice. Not a lot going on. Like I said, working in the family room, which is getting better. The cats are very confused about the open spaces. Saw a movie last night. One that just popped in my head again because we've been wanting to see it since it came out, and then turns out it came out in 2013. Only Lovers Left Alive. Jim Jarmusch film from 2013. Here's what I was told back in the day. I never saw a trailer or anything, but I was told it's a movie in which Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston are vampires for 2 hours. And I was like, yup, I'll watch that.
For 2 hours in the movie, or that the movie's 2 hours and
the movie's 2 hours long and they're just vampiring the whole time.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was confused there.
And it's not an inaccurate description. It's a movie about vampires in the modern era, of which the two primary characters are Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston. It also has Anton Yelchin and John Hurt, which is really weird to see now, given they've both died since the making of that movie. It's very atmospheric. It's a very, like, early on I wasn't sure I was going to like it, and then I finished it really liking it, but it's hard to explain what I like about it. There's not a hugely involved plot. Like, there is a plot, but not. If I described the plot, it would sound fairly mundane and uninteresting. Up front, it's impeccably made. It's everything about it is gorgeous. The filming is great. The editing is great. The casting is unbelievable, to the degree that it wastes Jeffrey Wright because it can. Like, Jeffrey Wright's in a part that involves 2 scenes, and he does a great job. And it's not like I wanted this character to be better or like more involved or anything. But I'm like, this movie is so well cast that Jeffrey Wright gets a bit part. To be fair, it was 2013. I guess he wasn't quite as excited. Although he got pretty high billing on it. Um, it's not a particularly large cast in general. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's brilliantly acted, great costuming, great. The writing is wonderful too. Um, perfect use of everyone. Uh, it's it's so hard to say. It is sort of a modern look on vampirism, I guess, and what it would be to be a vampire. Another attempt at sort of, what would it really be like if you were an immortal vampire? And again, there's a bit of that using this device to comment on the human condition, sort
Sure.
of. But it's just, yeah, like, I feel like I got a lot out of it, but I couldn't tell you what that was or what the point was. I wasn't bored. I was scared because it was over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 3 minutes or something. And that's pretty long for me for
Oh,
a movie these days. Especially one with like there's no like action scenes and shit like that.
right.
Yeah. I was worried like it feels like it's gonna be very navel gazy and very up its own butt. And it's not. And it's not, but it is a study. It's not. Some people would be really bored by it, probably. I expected I would be one of those, and I was not.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
What
so hard to explain, but I thought it was a good movie. I would recommend it.
what was it called again?
Um, Only Lovers Left Alive.
And where did you see it?
I paid $3 to watch it on Amazon.
Hmm.
I don't think it's free anywhere right now, but there's a lot of like $3 rentals on various platforms. And it's Jim Jarmusch, which hopefully that gives you some perspective. The only thing I can think of on that is uh, that zombie one with Adam Driver and Bill Murray that I just watched, and it's definitely different from that. Although both have Tilda Swinton. This one's not a comedy at all, and it's very. There's a very heavy romance angle to it. Um, and William, don't listen to this part, but there is a shot, beautiful shot, of from up above a bed of sleeping naked Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston both. And as I said to Trish at the moment that came up, I said, well, that's worth the price of admission right there. So if those of you who hear Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton as vampires in a movie and think like I do, yes, you do get that image. Enjoy it. Don't let William judge you. Enjoy it. It's nice.
I don't judge anybody.
It's not prurient. It's not vulgar. It's gorgeous. And they're both hot as
I
hell.
would not use those words to describe. I wouldn't
Yeah,
use those
yeah,
words to
yeah,
describe that situation. I would just say, I would just say, I would just say, yeah, that's not necessary for me. What? Why isn't it? Why isn't it all right for a person to have their own preferences without it seeming like they're
It
judging
is just
everybody
not
else for
just
theirs?
not you. It's just not all right for you to have that.
Okay.
Other people, yes. But yeah,
All
it's
right
still
then.
and this is the best thing I can say, but it's still rattling around in my head now. And trying to put together bits and bobs of the characters' lives that weren't mentioned. And
Oh
like
yeah.
like I'm starting to develop some theories. There's probably 4 or 5 vampire characters that show up throughout the movie, and we don't ever really specify who's older than whom. But I'm
Hmm.
starting to have some very strong feelings about it based on things they've said and stuff. And how that relates. And there's a lot of sort of how different vampires try to what they get out of living forever, and what difficulty they have and what they don't, and what they appreciate and why they're still doing it, and that kind of thing. Never directly, but very indirectly. Yeah, so I like it. I think that's about it. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed. I'm still watching 12 Monkeys. It's not a good show at this point, but it's not bad enough for me to stop watching. Apparently it has 4 seasons. And that's the thing, is I'm like, it's Canadian sci-fi, the usual bullshit. And I'm like, so it's going to start off dumb. And then eventually, A, we're going to get an ensemble cast that we care about. And B, it's going to figure out that it needs to be partially a comedy. Because that's how all of these shows work. And at that point, it will do a lot more stuff just because it's fun and quippy dialogue and shit like that. And we will have stuck around with these characters long enough that we'll give a shit if they live or die. Right now, not so much. But I know that will happen, and it's already been made and finished, so I'm not risking anything on it, It's gonna have the follow-up season. So at this point, I don't have a reason to stop. So if somebody tossed something at me that I desperately needed to watch first, it might. Because that's the other thing. I'm like, what do I watch instead? Nothing's really jumping to mind. So mostly because it has to be something that Trish wouldn't want to watch. We are watching Raised by Wolves, although we've only watched 2 episodes so far. Have you watched that at all?
Yes. Did you watch today's episode?
No, we've only watched 2 episodes. I think we're 2 behind now.
Oh.
I think there's been 4. Because when it first came out, it had 3. It came out with 3.
Well, I think we did watch all that were available at the time. So yeah,
we're behind.
We probably also watched 3.
It's super Ridley Scott.
I'm sorry, we have watched 3. You've watched 2.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and that's not necessarily a positive thing.
It's a mixed thing. I mean, I'm curious. I'm not gonna watch it, but like it is setting up a lot of very large pieces, and I'm not confident what it's going to do with them. Like we're very much establishing something, and I'm like, okay, once we start moving, am I gonna hate this? So we'll have to see.
There are some of those pieces seem super unnecessary. Like even if they make use of it, you're gonna be like, yeah, you didn't have to do it like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're trying to make some kind of point, I think, but I don't like it. I can just see that already.
But, yeah. And then I'll be curious. I mean, it very much has that vibe right now that I'm like, it would be great if an extinction event happened. Like it would be better for all of these people. Sorry, another extinction event happened. It would be better for all of these people if we just killed them. And also, I don't know. I consider the atheism as religion trope to be. I mean, it exists in real life and it's annoying. I don't need it in my television and movies. So I have trouble with that.
Well, this is one of the things that I find kind of unnecessary. Like, all the ways I can imagine this being important to something later, them are something I'm going to go, oh, that was clever. It's basically going to be
no.
You didn't. This is a theme that this show didn't need.
The short form is if you have people who are very religious and other people who are atheist or agnostic or different religion, and they're just minding their own business, then the religious people are clearly the bad ones and they're persecuting them and all that shit. If you want to make both sides okay and don't just have disparate religions, you have to create atheists who are real assholes about it. And it's dumb. Find a better way. But I understand the argument of building it. If you want to make it about religion and you want atheism involved, then your atheism has to be really shitty atheism, or else you're just the victim.
But I would argue that if you make a religion that's oppressive, that's making, because religion doesn't have to be like that.
No. But we want a conflict and we want it based in religion. We've decided that
exactly.
Already. And I mean, that happens,
So
and I'm
you have
not
to make them
opposed to that
both bad.
concept. Exactly. There has to be moral gray area. And if one of them is atheist, if they're just minding their own fucking business, it doesn't matter. So it has to come in conflict. And the only way to come into conflict is no, I am so atheist that the fact that you believe shit ruins my life. So fuck you.
And vice versa. I mean, the religious
Well, yeah,
people
but I
are like,
expect
I
the
don't
other
know,
one. The religious persecution and the crusader and all that is a
a
classic,
trope. Yeah, that's,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
I'm
that's
fine
true.
with
You're
it.
right. You're right.
And
Yeah,
again, exists. We've got some historical roots here. I don't
for
like this new
sure.
version. I guess it exists too, but I'm like, whatever. Um, Lovecraft Country, new episode, fourth episode. A lot of
Yeah.
swimming.
Yes.
Yes, you've seen it. I just want to say for the record, they are going off book pretty heavily. That episode borrowed from two
Oh, really?
chapters out of the book, and I recognize those two chapters, but they are going in a whole new direction. And that episode ended on something that has caused a lot of stir on the internet and caused a lot of fucked up discussion, which I understand doesn't happen in the book because one of the characters in that final scene doesn't even exist in the book. So yeah, they're going in a
Wow,
very
I
different
wasn't
direction.
aware. I
Yeah,
wasn't
that
aware of any
whole thing.
controversy around it.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I mean, yeah, it largely has to do with, how do I put this in a non-spoilery way? Some of the identity politics surrounding one person and some of the identity politics surrounding the other person and what they did together and what that might mean for larger demographics symbolically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some people thought that's a terrible
Oh,
thing to put on TV, and other people were like, that's a thing we have to talk about, even though it's terrible. And other people were like, what? It's a TV show plot. That's just how it goes. Like, it's not just what happened, it's who it happened to and who it happened with and all of that.
what's how do you feel about it?
I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I don't know. I have trouble trying to read the social commentary built into this because it's very different from the way the book did it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and like I said, they've gone in a completely different. I still like the show. This is probably my least favorite episode. I still like the show. I am now solidly in the camp of saying I prefer the book. But the show is a different creature for a lot of ways. The show is trying to do something different from what the book was trying to do. And I appreciate that. I'm still going to watch it. I still recommend the show. It's a very good show.
Well, obviously, it didn't even. I mean, it was a development that was surprising, obviously, but I didn't have any sense of it being controversial because I didn't. I guess to me, okay, these things like this actually happen in stories all the time. Maybe not with this context to make it controversial, but
Yeah.
a lot of times when these things happen in other stories, I have to ask my wife, what's going on here? Because
Well,
I often don't understand when these things happen. So I don't put a lot of thought into it because I don't know what to think of it. Sometimes she has to explain, oh yeah, those two, for 2 episodes, those two were like, had a tension or something that I totally missed. And so I often don't understand when these things happen, and I've given up on trying to understand. So I didn't
that's
really
weird.
put much thought into it. I don't.
Because if you take the context out, the larger symbolic context, I absolutely understood that moment. I understand the character
Really?
motivations and how it precipitates the actions. Yeah, I'll have to talk about this off camera, but I absolutely got
Okay.
it.
Because
And
well,
so
since I sometimes struggle just to get the basic, like, you understand more than I do. If I understood those things, I might be free to think about the other things you're talking about, but I just don't even I give up on even trying to think about
I
it.
think
So
it's
it's not even going to
because
occur to me.
Lovecraft Country is an HBO thing, which means it's part of HBO Max, which means you're mad at them. We got to do this
No,
question. We're about out of time, and if we don't do one,
oh,
people will
sorry.
cry.
Okay.
Okay, this is a tonal shift. Sandwich construction tips. Go. From Blood Sparrow.
Okay, first of all, if you're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you need to put peanut butter on both slices of bread. That way, the jelly won't soak through. And you can also usually feel freer to put more jelly, because a lot of people don't put enough jelly on peanut butter and jelly, and mostly it's because they don't want it to soak through the bread that they're putting the jelly on. But you don't have to worry about that if you put peanut butter on both slices, and then you can put as much jelly as you want in the middle and smash it real good, and you'll get plenty of peanut butter and jelly, which for any good peanut butter and jelly sandwich means lots of peanut butter and lots of jelly. That's how you make a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
This is interesting because not only I simultaneously think this is brilliant and will probably use this in future, but I also realize I think it's controversial because in general,
Oh, really?
I think peanut butter and jelly sandwich construction is handed down generation to generation and is something that families take pride in. So I think the very
I
idea
suppose.
that you are claiming there's a right way and that it's not the way they're doing it is going to piss people off.
It's my way.
It's definitely not how I've ever done it, but I like it. And that is a common thing, is dealing with the jelly. Sometimes it's about soaking through the bread. Sometimes it's about coming out the edges. But dealing with the jelly has always been an issue I have found a lot of people have with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I've never really had that problem. I don't know. I think I eat it too
Well,
fast for anything to go
my
anywhere.
mom used to just put it on the bread, and I would go on like a field trip or something, and it would sort of soak through or make that side of the bread a little bit soggy.
Yeah.
So I decided to put peanut butter on both sides, and I also discovered
like
that meant
sealant.
Sure, and that also meant that if I wanted more peanut butter and or jelly, which I usually did, I could just do that, and if you're careful enough, you kind of don't have to worry so much about but I mean, if you put too much jelly on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it's going to come out no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that because I just like a lot of jelly, but that's one way I think to minimize all of those problems is to put peanut butter on both sides.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it.
I don't know that I have a lot of construction tips. I mean, it mostly is just sandwich creation mindfulness. You need to be aware of your ingredients, and you need to be aware of what you're trying to accomplish, and do that from the beginning. And as I get older, things like what cheese in relation to what meat, theoretically, based on the flavor. Turkey can have a milder cheese to it because turkey doesn't have a strong flavor. If you've got some cured meats or whatever, then you need a sharp cheddar, an aged Havarti, goat cheese if you're being crazy. The various condiments that are spread need to be considered. I mean, you spread them on the bread because that's just the best holder for them. But then what you put next to them matters a great deal. And we're all used to seeing sandwiches and things on TV and in pictures for what looks the best. What looks the best is not necessarily what works the best.
Right.
I'm also a fan of the thinner sandwich. I feel if it gets too wide, it can get out of control, or too many ingredients. If you have too many ingredients, eventually something's just lost. You're like, I don't even know why I put that on there because I can't taste it. But I think you just have to be very deliberate about all things. The bread matching with the fillings, matching with the condiments. Think about it before you put together your sandwich. It's not just what bread do you have handy, what meat do you have. No, think about it. I mean, obviously, if you're going to starve to death, eat what's there. But I think you just need to be mindful.
And if you're going to Dagwood it, and you want to make a thick sandwich or whatever because you just want
Yeah.
everything to be on it,
All right.
you're gonna have to use other pieces of bread as stabilizers.
Oh, I think so.
Might be a
Yeah.
good idea to have a different kind of bread. For example, the top and bottom you might want to be some substantial that you if you put it in between, it's just going to make it a heavier sandwich all the way around. So you might put a unsubstantial white bread as stable in the middle, and the substantial pieces on either side. That way,
Interesting.
you that way all the stuff you're putting in the middle doesn't become heavy if you're trying to make a big sandwich.
Question: is this theoretical, or have you done this?
I have I have I have never used two types of bread in a Dagwood. I've wished I could
Okay.
because
Okay.
the breads I often have are whole wheat breads, right? So let's say even if I want to make a triple decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I have done. If I use the usual bread that I eat that's kind of heavy, that's too much bread. But
Yeah.
if I got, say, Wonder Bread and stuck that in the middle, it would be perfect because it would give me the triple
Because
decker
there's
sandwich I want
very
without
little
making it
flavor
too
involved.
heavy.
Then. Yeah. No, I like the idea. I
Exactly.
just
But
wanted to check.
the stabilization factor is still there.
But see, and that's a little concern. I don't know that the lighter one will stabilize as well. In the case of like a triple peanut butter and jelly, that might work. But there's some things I don't know. I think it's very. I was deferring to your experience in the matter. If it's theoretical, I
Yeah,
think
I'm
we
sorry,
need
it
more
is.
research. I like the idea, but I think it needs more research.
Yep, you're probably right.
If you'd like to donate to the sandwich uh, construction research fund, um, give us money.
Have you ever? I used to love building tall sandwiches. I know you were just talking about
I've
keeping the
done
ingredients
it.
small, and I think you're right about that. But I used to love it.
I've done it. It's never been satisfying.
Oh, okay.
I've usually done it when I'm really hungry, and I don't even do a lot of different layers. I just like I want a lot of this, so I'm gonna build it on top, and it's
Oh, okay.
fine. But it's never. I've never been like this was a great idea. I don't know. It's never really worked for me.
I guess when I did it, I was younger, and I thought it was pretty awesome. But maybe it was just the fact that I was making a big sandwich. Maybe I
I
didn't even pay
was
attention if it tasted
I
good.
was
Tasted good
doing
to
that
me.
with pasta and mac and cheese. I would make mac and cheese, and
Oh,
then I
see,
would put a ton
not
of
with that.
things into it, and I thought it was great at the time. And now I'm like, yeah, it was pretty much garbage food. Because again, if you put enough stuff in, then it just tastes like nothing in particular.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Mine was all cold cuts and lettuce and tomato and cheese. I'm all sandwichy things,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
and like I would put mayo down here, but I'd put horseradish up here, and I don't know. It turned out pretty good, I thought, but
I
I
think
was
you
just a kid. I didn't know.
I think you put more thought into it than I did. I think that was part of my problem.
Yeah.
I just went for bigger, which wasn't not always better, as I have learned. All right, people, I'm tired of this, so we're gonna go. I got some supper right back there waiting for me. Um, tell us your sandwich stuff. Also, what makes you mad about HBO Max? And how do you feel about the cinematic multiverse? And answer these questions for us, people. We're stuck at home alone with two women who barely tolerate us. We need your interaction, or it's not going to go well. So
Uh,
help us out. Um,
won't you?
thank you. And if anybody is out on the West Coast, let us know how you're doing and if
Yeah,
there's
please
anything we
do.
can do.
Sure.
But I don't know that we have a big West Coast crowd, but we'll see.
Okay.
We love you all and happy sandwiches. Oh crap! I almost killed the wrong thing here.